last week after I was editing the episode, the Pope's episode. I was up a lot of the night editing the Pope's episode, so I ended up really like delirious, and I was watching Forensic Files. I was trying to go to sleep to Forensic Files in the wee hours, and I was losing my mind at how funny this episode of Forensic Files was, and it was killing me because like I know there's a murder at the end. I know it's gonna get horrible, you know, but for the time I was just losing my mind laughing. This woman kept trying to poison her husband, but he was in the Navy at the time, so she could only poison him via like care packages, so it was only enough poison to ever make him really sick. So he never connected the two, so he would just always be eating care packages, getting horribly ill. Then another care package comes in right as he's recovering from the previous care package. He says, oh man, great, another care package. Scarfs it down, horribly ill again. One time he went to Spain on shore leave with a pal of his. He was like, hey, how about you come with me, have a nice home-cooked meal? You know, that wife of mine who's always sending me those great care packages that are always almost killing me, she's going to be cooking breakfast. They go and eat eggs at this woman's house, both of them violently ill. The guy's on the verge of death, and then they send him back to the States. They're like, we got to get this guy back home. He's in horrible condition. We got to get him to some American doctors. And, you know, also, for whatever it's worth, I think he could use a nice home-cooked meal or two, too. So they send him home, and he dies, like, immediately. She finishes the job really quickly. He was doomed the whole time. And that part was sad, but all up until then, it was fucking the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. It was ridiculous, and I was just losing it to myself, just like, is this as funny? Do you ever have that where you're like, is this as funny as it seems to me right now? Am I losing my mind? That's where I was at. Anyway, boom, 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 how. Welcome to the Oddball History Podcast. It's episode 99. It is soccer, and more soccer.
Got digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History's stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.
Look, everybody's talking about it. Soccer. It's the World Cup's going on, you know. Dallas here, we're one of the host cities. It's been fun seeing all the pageantry, all the hoopla, all the so forth, you know. So I thought, hey, I'll bite. What is soccer anyway? What are they doing? I looked into it, and this episode is the result of me looking into it. We've got 3 fantastic soccer-related stories for y'all. Very just classic oddball history shit, but all coming from the world of soccer. We've got the 1915 British football match-fixing scandal. A lot of fun. Just a bunch of lads being like, World War I's going on. I mean, is anyone really going to notice if we fix one little match? But they did notice. We got a dog saving the World Cup in 1966. Like, literally, he found the trophy at the time. It had been stolen. That was a big mystery. And this dog named Pickles is a black and white collie mix. He's the hero of the day. He saved the day and the World Cup, and he was a very good boy. We're going to get into him. We're going to talk Carlos Kaiser, my favorite story of the week, the legend of Carlos Kaiser. Carlos Kaiser is a legendary Brazilian con man who was an active professional soccer player for 26 years without ever actually playing soccer because he was bad at it. He knew if he came near a ball, his whole grift was over. But he managed to do it for more than 2 decades, at least a decade. That 26-year number, that was bandied about a lot in my research, but in truth, I was like, I'm not getting 26 years out of all that. I don't know. But who knows? You can honestly never tell with Carlos Kaiser. That's a thing you're going to learn about him. It's going to be a real good time. But before all that, it's time for top comments of the week. Top comments of the week. On the last episode over on YouTube, the episode itself, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're doing cool shit over there on YouTube. On the last episode, Pope's Gone Wild, our old pal Funk Still P2T said, nothing a good defenestration can't fix, which is a solid point. Defenestration, the act of throwing someone out of a window, that's what he's referring to. Pope John the 12th was allegedly killed by the husband of the woman he was fucking, throwing him out a window. And look, I won't say defenestration can solve all your problems, but in this case, it seemed to have worked out pretty well for this guy. I'll just say that. I don't want to advocate per se for defenestration in every case, just across the board. I wouldn't want to do that, but I will say for this guy, it did seem to be the right course of action. You know, over on the YouTube short about John the 12th's habit of invoking pagan gods while gambling, hilarious sentence. I love when that happens on this podcast. Sometimes things, when you just read them in their most bare, objective terms, are so goddamn funny. And that's what he was. But Yosef, is it Joseph or Yosef? It's spelled like it could be Yosef, but Joseph Schneider, Y8Q, our pal there over there on YouTube, said, "Help me, Venus." And then another quote, isn't that guy the Pope? Like, it was like a pair of quotes, but it's just a perfect joke because it is. It's the funniest image in the world. I mean, it's so funny to imagine a Pope playing dice in the back alley, and you're like, oh my God, how this guy. Oh, this has to be the worst Pope of all time. And then he starts praying to Jupiter and Venus. It's a fun time, a real good time. If you haven't already, check out episode 98, Pope's Gone Wild. That was a fun one. Our final top comment this week comes from 2 episodes ago, actually, but I just loved the comment. The 2 episodes ago, a salute to birds. On the Instagram reel about Patty the Pigeon, who brought the news of the successful D-Day invasion across the English Channel in 4 hours, 50 minutes record time. I was doing a little joke about how Patty made it back really fast, and then he was assuming those other pigeons who were released with him are dead, so he was coming onto their wives inappropriately. It was just a fun little bit. But my guy over there on Instagram, ham_birdler, says he might have been getting with other pigeon wives for getting the Dickin medal. Boom. Perfect animal and warfare joke right there, because it's true. He got the Dickin medal for bravery, but he was dicking the other pigeons. It's just a perfect joke. I appreciate it. Thank you for the comment, Ham Birdler. Appreciate all the comments. We love y'all. Keep them coming. I say we again. It's just me. This is just me now. But old habits. And now it's time for some goddamn soccer. A sentence I have said not a whole lot in my life, but I'm pretty swept up in it now. It's all very fun. I've been watching the World Cup. I've been learning about things. This week's episode is presented by our new friends at the Realistic Ape Suit Emporium. I know, look, I like to joke around a lot on here, but one thing I take very seriously is the quality of my ape suits. And most scientists now agree, as things are right now, if there was an uprising today, scientific studies show that you would be torn to ribbons by an unholy alliance of chimps, gorillas, and orangutans. It's just a fact. Look, I'm not trying to be dramatic or heavy-handed, but your only hope of surviving a potential ape uprising is a really realistic ape suit. Realistic ape suits don't get caught in a Planet of the Apes type scenario without one. Anyway, our first story, Pickles the dog saves the World Cup. It's a beautiful story. It's March of 1966 in England. Everyone has soccer fever, much like now, but in England, they're right chuffed about the World Cup coming to England in July. There's just one problem. The trophy has gone missing. The Jules Rimet trophy. At first, FIFA considers this, they consider just using an old bowling trophy in its place that they had at home, putting a new plaque on it, hoping nobody notices. But eventually they decide they should just try to find the real trophy, and they do. It had gone missing from a rare stamp exhibition. Stanley Gibbons of the Stanley Gibbons Group. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you about Stanley Gibbons. Stanley Gibbons of the Stanley Gibbons Group, a rare stamp concern, had received permission to display the trophy at their booth at StampX, a big rare stamp exhibition. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you about StampX. Under the condition that it be under guard at all times. This is important. Gibbons is like, who do you think you're talking to, son? This is Stanley Gibbons you're talking to. I think I know a thing or two about how to protect precious items. Second day of the exhibition, the trophy is stolen. It's gone. They really did have guards posted with the trophy most of the time. That's the key. It wasn't all of the time. But they were posted there most of the time. But then on Sundays, the hall where they were having it at, the Westminster Central Hall. I also heard it called Methodist Central Hall in Westminster. But on Sundays, where the exhibition was taking place, it was used for Methodist church services. So this is on a Sunday that it goes missing. It was around noon that guards noticed the trophy was missing. Someone had forced open a back door, as well as the case the trophy was in. The wooden bar that held the door the case closed was lying on the floor, and they had removed a padlock that was on the case before going out the way they came in. The perfect crime. Not really, but they did get away with it. At first, Scotland Yard takes over the case pretty much immediately. They interview guards and maintenance workers and churchgoers, but nobody really has anything helpful. The next day, March 21st, 1966, the theft is international news, of course. Remember, everybody has soccer fever. And the chairman of the Football Association and Chelsea FC, Joe Mears, receives an anonymous call from a man calling himself Jackson, informing him that he'll receive a parcel at Chelsea headquarters the next day. Instead, it goes to his home. There's also a version of this where the package was left under the Stamford Bridge. But he was instructed to pick it up from the Stamford Bridge. In any case, he gets this package. In the package is the lining from the top of the trophy and a ransom demand for £150,000 in £1 and £5 notes. If he paid, the guy said, he could have the trophy back by Friday. And if he didn't, if he went to the cops or the press about it, he was going to melt that shit down. They hang up, and then Joe Mears' phone rings again, and it's the guy. It's the guy from before, and he's like, "Oh yeah, remember when I said £1 and £5 notes? I actually meant £5 and £10 notes." So not the most pro ransomers here, I don't feel like. But despite the threat, Mears immediately calls the cops, who have him follow instructions, just do the thing for the drop. They give him a briefcase with slips of paper wrapped up to look like money with real bills on the outside. That old trick. But Mears gets nervous. He starts hyperventilating. And then a cop answers his phone. Detective Inspector Charles Buggy. I also read it as Leonard Buggy, but Charles or Leonard Buggy, whichever it was, he gets on the phone in his place, in Mears' place, and he's like, I'm Joe Mears' assistant. Name's McPhee. And the guy, again, not a pro, he's like, yeah, all right, I'll deal with you. And so now he's negotiating straight with the cops. He sets up a meeting. And Jackson is suspicious, but he agrees to meet McPhee at the gate of Battersea Park. They meet up. Buggy gives him the mostly fake money, which Jackson accepts. But then as Buggy is driving Jackson to go get the trophy, Jackson noticed that they're being tailed by Scotland Yard. Some of Buggy's guys from Scotland Yard are tailing him. He starts to get nervous. He's like, actually, you know what? It's right out here. I just pull over and I'll just go get it right now. And so he gets out of the car. He starts to make a break for it, but Buggy catches up to him. gets him back in the car. Then they're driving along, and Jackson just jumps out of the car. He just bails, makes a break for it. Buggy runs after him again, eventually catches him hiding in some family's garden, at which point he's like, by the way, I'm a cop. I'm gonna arrest you now. He arrests him, and Jackson presumably is like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. What with the foot chase and everything, I had a feeling. I thought you might be. So he's arrested. Buggy gets his guy. Cops quickly recognize Jackson as Edward Betchley, or Ted Betchley, a petty thief and used car dealer who had been arrested for trafficking and stolen property in the past. He claimed he was acting as a middleman for a mysterious stranger called the Pole, but no one else was ever arrested in connection with the case. The cops ask Betchley about the whereabouts of the trophy, and he tells them, oh yeah, I can just show you real fast if you let me out of here. And they're like, nah, not so fast, Betchley. And he's like, well, fine, I'm not showing you then. And so they can't find it for a little bit. As it turns out, they didn't need Betchley's bitch ass anyway, thanks to a black and white collie mix, a 4-year-old black and white collie mix named Pickles. March 27th, 1966, a week after the trophy came up missing, Pickles was out on a walk with his owner David Corbett in the Beulah Hill district of southeast London when he found a mysterious package under the hedge of his house, wrapped in newspaper and tied up with string. Corbett takes the package to the Gypsy Hill police station, who send it to the Cannon Row police station, where Harold Mays of the FA identified the cup. Corbett was briefly suspected of being involved in the theft, but he had an alibi, and also it would make no sense for a person who stole a thing to then return that thing to the police. It's a really stupid idea in the first place, I would say. But the police announced the recovery of the trophy the next morning, but held it as evidence for another month, presumably so all the boys could get a picture with it before they let it go. It was out in time for the World Cup. A happy ending, though. Jules Rimet trophy safe and sound, and what could have been a gigantic national embarrassment for England ended up just being a minor national embarrassment for England, perhaps inspired by how minor of an embarrassment it turned out to be by the heroic actions of Pickles the dog. England then wins the World Cup. 1966, the only World Cup in their history. It comes home for the first and only time. And after the historic victory, which they clinched by beating West Germany 4-2 in the final, Corbett was invited to the Players' Victory Dinner. Pickles went on to become a full-on celebrity for a while. He starred in a movie called The Spy with a Cold Nose, alongside Eric Sykes and June Whitfield in 1966, and did several TV shows, including the children's show Blue Peter. And he was named Dog of the Year and given a year of free dog food by Spiller's Pet Food. Not bad. That was all anybody knew about this story for decades, that this guy said he was a middleman, but he was the only guy they ever found. In 2018, the journalist Tom Pettifor uncovered the real story. It turns out Ted Betchley had really been a middleman after all. The trophy was actually stolen by a guy named Sidney Cugliere. Sidney Q, they called him. It was simply a crime of opportunity. I guess he was just at the Westminster Hall or whatever and saw a chance and took it. He stole the trophy, showed his brother Reg, and then immediately started panicking over what to do with it. He hides it in a coal shed for a while before Sidney gets Ted Betchley to act as a go-between. And then managed to stay quiet about it until his death in 2005. His brother Reg died in 2012. And as for the Jules Rimet trophy, FIFA gave it for good to the 1970 winner Brazil to keep, because they were going to the new trophy, which they still use now. They gave it to Brazil, but then it was stolen from the Brazilian Football Confederation headquarters in 1983 and never recovered. So, R.I.P. The Jules Rimet trophy. Probably it was melted down. I don't think they know for sure, but I think people think it was probably melted down. But on to our next story. Carlos Kaiser, the footballer who never played football. They're born Carlos Enrique Raposo. You know how Brazilians say R's is H's? We're going to be doing that a lot this episode, so, buckle up. Carlos Enrique Raposo. According to the man himself, he got the nickname Kaiser because he played like the great German soccer star Franz Beckenbauer, although a friend of his claims it was because he was a chubby kid, and so his body resembled a bottle of Kaiser beer. It was a brand of beer in Brazil, and it had a real short, stubby, round bottle. He said that's why they called him Kaiser. He was a little chubby kid. It wasn't because of any similarity to Franz Beckenbauer. But he became famous as a professional soccer player without ever playing any soccer. He, quote, wanted to be a footballer but did not want to play football. Called himself an anti-footballer in the documentary about him. He was a 171, which they call, that's like a Brazilian term. That's their criminal code for like scams, like con artists. And so he was a 171 and a damn good one. One friend in the documentary said he only had one problem in soccer, and that was the ball. He was saying he sucked really bad at everything involving the ball, and that's a lot of soccer, Another friend of his, the Brazilian legend Bebeto, said he was terrible. Every time he trained with him, he'd be gassed before practice, and then when they started playing with a ball, he would always fake a hamstring injury. I wanted to be among the other players, Kaiser told The Guardian. I just didn't want to play. It's everybody else's problem if they want me to be a footballer. Not even Jesus pleased everybody. Why would I? That's a fair question from Carlos Kaiser. And very relatable, Who hasn't thought, like, it's bullshit that just because I can't live the lifestyle of a great athlete just because I'm not a great athlete. I think that's horseshit. There has to be some workaround. And Carlos Kaiser found every workaround to this. It's really incredible, his story. For 26 years, they say, Carlos Kaiser was a professional soccer player without ever actually touching a soccer ball. Incredible feat. One big thing, he managed to stay in shape enough to look the part. He looked like he should be a good Brazilian soccer player. And then beyond that, he made friends with good soccer players. So he was always surrounded by good soccer players. He looks like a good soccer player. It stands to reason he must be a great Brazilian soccer player. Plus, he has a bunch of forged player IDs with him all the time from prestigious clubs, so that helps too. He starts his youth career at Botafogo, then moved on to Flamengo, where he impressed scouts from the Mexican club Puebla, and they sign him in 1979. He then gets released a month later without ever having played a match, and then just keeps doing this for 20 years basically. His scam was like this. He'd get signed, and then he'd tell the club, I'm not match fit right now though. I'm very talented, but not match fit just yet. You just gotta give me some time to get my legs under me, get match fit, and I'll be playing competitive soccer for you in no time. And then after a little bit, when they'd work him into an actual practice against live competition, he'd fake a hamstring injury immediately. This was apparently pretty hard to detect back then. And then if the hamstring issues weren't enough to get him far, far away from that field, he had a dentist who would claim that he had a focal infection, and that would do the trick. Kaiser also made friends with journalists. He was a very good con man. In every way a con man can be good at being a con man. I mean, Carlos Kaiser was really dynamite. He's kind of soccer's answer to Victor Lustig in a lot of ways. In fact, there are quotes that are I read them and I was like, that sounds like some shit Victor Lustig would say, Like one time Kaiser attributed his long career to that he would just find out what people needed and then provide. He just made himself indispensable to people. That's a very Lustig quote though. That's very his shit. I could totally see Lustig saying that. So he made friends with journalists. Another way the con was perpetuated through all those years. And when he was with Puebla, for example, there was an article about how he was so beloved in Puebla that they wanted him to become a citizen and play for the national team, which was never true, of course. After Puebla, Kaiser returned to Brazil to the club of his youth, Botafogo, where he was from 1979 to 1981. Kaiser also, hilarious bit, he used to do fake phone conversations at a time when almost no one had a cell phone. Carlos Kaiser, he had a fake, like a toy cell phone, and he would have fake phone conversations where fake clubs, I guess they were real clubs, but he would be like, "Oh, hello, Manchester United. What's that? No, I'm very happy with the team I'm with right now." And that he's doing this whole bit. He's like, "I love these guys, and I totally intend to play for them soon, as soon as I'm match fit." And he's always doing this bit. But then a Botafogo team doctor who happens to speak English overhears him having one of these ridiculous conversations, and he's like, I don't think that was a real conversation. I don't think that was a real conversation at all. And so it's high time for Kaiser to leave. He takes his 0 career goals, 0 assists, and 0 minutes played, and he goes to Flamengo, another Brazilian club, other club of his youth, actually. He's there from 81 to 83, but wouldn't you know it, that hamstring issue just will not get better. All the while, Kaiser is having the goddamn time of his life. He's going to clubs, partying with the boys, having unprotected sex with most of Rio de Janeiro. Quote, "Every night I would be in nightclubs until the early hours of the morning, from Monday to Monday. In fact, I was never in a fit state to train or play in the morning," he said, per onefootball.com. Quote, "I made sure I was seen with the greatest Brazilian footballers. Just being a football player made me a magnet for women." This is the core motivation for Carlos Kaiser, it seems, is the sex. He was and is an exceptionally horny man. That much is abundantly clear from the documentary. He had another quote, "I was addicted to sex, like Michael Douglas," he said. "I would sleep with at least 3 women a day." And then my favorite, most unhinged quote from Carlos Kaiser from the documentary Kaiser, he continued, "Sex is my hobby. My dream as a little boy wasn't to go to Disneyland. It was to go to Amsterdam, the land of smut. What would I do? Go on the ghost train? Meet Mickey? That doesn't turn me on. I'd rather meet Mickey's wife, Minnie. If she's hot, I'll give her a squirt." As a direct quote from Carlos Kaiser, the horniest man in Rio de Janeiro, 1979 to present. But it's in 1983 that Kaiser's con levels up. He starts impersonating Brazil's actual best player at the time, Renato Gaucho. Kaiser actually says this was the beginning of his reign. He calls it, as like his career, when he became, in his words, Gaucho's clone. And for what it's worth, Kaiser really does look kind of like Gaucho. He made a point to dress like him, and then he would just outright tell people he was him sometimes, which would really drive home the point. He'd show girls Renato Gaucho highlight reels and be like, "That's me." And because of the hair and the graininess of 1980s VHS footage, it was believable. It worked. One time, a friend of Kaiser's was at a mall in Rio around this time, and here's Renato is there. Everybody in the mall's losing their shit. "Oh my fucking God, Renato, he's here. He's signing autographs," and the guy ran to go see, and it was like fucking Kaiser. Of course, it's Kaiser, just living it up as Renato Gaucho. Eventually, Gaucho finds out about this crazy son of a bitch, Carlos Kaiser, running around telling people that he's him. But Gaucho's cool. Gaucho's like, well, if he's not stealing from anyone or hurting anybody, I say let him do it. And do it he does. Kaiser was doing it so hard Another quote from the documentary from his impersonating Renato Gaucho era. He said, quote, "I used to sleep with older women for money because they wanted to bed Renato, but they paid to have sex with Kaiser." What a quote. He's not like the best guy, is my point. Carlos Kaiser. But Kaiser and Renato eventually meet, and again, rather than being upset with Kaiser, Renato loves the guy. They become like lifelong friends. They're still friends to this day. But being Renato Gaucho for this time, it really whetted Carlos Kaiser's appetite for the lifestyle of a soccer superstar. There's no going back for him. His first alleged opportunity comes with the French Division II club Gazélec Ajaccio. I'm almost sure I'm butchering that, but that's what I've got. Gazélec Ajaccio in Corsica, France. He's visiting his friend Fabinho Barros, who plays for them, and they do like a public workout for the fans with this exciting new prospect from Brazil, Carlos Kaiser. Oh man, he looks like such a good player. Look at his hair. So they put on this exhibition, this workout, this public workout, and Carlos Kaiser comes out and climbs in the stands and gives the president of the team's wife flowers, and then he kisses the Corsican flag a bunch of times, and then he boots every ball that they have on the field to work out with. He punts them all into the stands to the fans, so they can't work out. I was looking forward to working out, but I guess that was all the balls. And he, of course, this goes over so well. The people fucking love him. He's a master of pandering to the fans. He says, "I got a standing ovation. Just because of that, I could have stayed 10 years without playing." He's damn good. He knows what he's doing, Carlos Kaiser. Another time, Kaiser's actually on the field for the beginning of an exhibition game, and they blow the whistle. He sprints 10 yards and grabs at his leg. A guy on the bench is like, "Oh my God," and another guy, a Frenchman, is like, "Oh, that guy always does that. You don't have to worry about that. That's just his thing." I'm honestly surprised he even made it to the whistle. Before long, the coach hates him, but Kaiser has made good friends with the team's supposedly mobbed up owner, so he's kind of untouchable for a little while. At least that's Kaiser's story. All this about the mobbed up guy and the kicking the balls in the crowd. It turns out it probably all complete horseshit. Kaiser hadn't so much played for Gazélec Ajaccio as he had been friends with Fabinho Barros. Remember the guy who played for them? And Fabinho had once given him a jersey, and then he took pictures. He had pictures taken of himself in the jersey doing like action poses. He was acting like he was at a practice, but as Fabinho Barros points out, that it's clear from the pictures no one else is on the field. They're not very believable. Like it doesn't look like he's doing a workout, but he did them. Barros also points out Kaiser never even went to Corsica. The field where that picture was taken was in Horto, Brazil. But Kaiser takes those pictures in that jersey and runs with him. He actually ended up giving the jersey to the host of a popular Brazilian soccer talk show. Kaiser made an art of avoiding playing soccer. He would pay youth players to injure him sometimes. He one time, like a kid, a guy saw him do this. He went up to one of the club's youth players and was like, "How much do you make?" And the kid told him, and he was like, "I'll double that right now. Injure me." And he did. He would say his grandmother died in a pinch. At one stop in Brazil, he paid a guy to go get all the guys he could get from the favela and bring them and chant his name while the owner was on the field. So people would be like, "Damn, the people love this guy." As for what Kaiser actually did for real in 1986, we know he signed with the Brazilian club Bangu, and his con is running at such a high level at this point. It's big news. A newspaper headline said, "Bangu has its king." Always fun to remember too when these headlines are coming out, like all the players who have ever warmed up with Carlos Kaiser are just chuckling to themselves like, how does he keep fucking doing this? Which is funny to think about, going, damn, he is good. But his signing with Bangu is interesting because one of that club's major sponsors is a fella named Castor de Andrade, the king of Brazilian bicheiros, or illegal bookmakers. This is not a man you want to fuck with. He was called the most dangerous man in Brazil, and referred to as Bangu's owner, even though he was never officially the owner or president or anything. It was just kind of understood he was in charge. He rolled around with a pistol in his pocket, with a revolver in his pocket. One time when a player had an ankle injury, he walked over to him, fired a shot into the ground right next to the guy's injured ankle. The guy hops up, terrified. He jumps to his feet, and Castor's like, oh, look at that, you can play. So crazy motherfucker. You don't want to cross him. And this is our guy Carlos Kaiser's new boss. And it all leads to Kaiser's closest shave yet, with having to play soccer. His closest shave ever. This is the closest he ever gets, I think, to getting in a game. So Castor de Andrade, to say it very Brazilianly, he isn't about to put up with Kaiser's shit. He loves Kaiser. Personally, he loves him, but he's not gonna cotton to him just sitting on the bench all the time. Bangu is struggling. They're having a really bad stretch. They need their superstar Brazilian signing, their new king, Carlos Kaiser. They need his ass out there. So he finds out at 4 a.m. He's at a club. 4 a.m, he gets a call from his coach, and the coach is like, hey, Castor wants you on the bench tomorrow. Kaiser's like, oh, fuck. And the coach is like, no, don't worry. You're not going to play. It's fine. But you're going to be on the bench. So Kaiser's like, fine. Goes back to whatever he's doing. He shows up. He gets back to the hotel right as everyone's waking up, goes to the field. He's on the bench as per his agreement with the coach. So they're down. So he starts on the bench, but pretty soon Bangu is down 2-0. Castor is getting mad. He's probably stroking his revolver. That's how I imagine it anyway. But anyway, Castor is mad. He says, put that motherfucker in. It's time. So Kaiser presumably is like, oh fuck. He goes down to warm up, running along the sidelines, like you do. And the fans are giving him the fans are heckling him. One guy, according to Kaiser, calls him a long-haired F-slur. And Carlos Kaiser in his head is like, oh, here's my chance. And he jumps into the crowd and starts fighting the guy. He starts beating the shit out of this guy. Red card, you're off. Never touch the field. Brilliant, all except for now Castor de Andrade is fucking steamed. And you got to go in the locker room and have a meeting with Castor de Andrade, the most dangerous man in Brazil. It's not a fun place to be in for Kaiser. He's certain he's about to be shot by a revolver. He goes back in the locker room. Not long after, Castor comes in with his cronies. He always has 2 heavies with him, and I mean just in general. Again, it's hard to overstate how intimidating this guy would be to deal with. He has like an army of cops and politicians in his pocket, as well as that revolver. So Castor de Andrade comes into the locker room and all the other players are just assuming they're about to watch Carlos Kaiser get murdered in cold blood. So he comes in and he's comes up to Carlos Kaiser. And before he can start, Carlos Kaiser says, "Doctor, before you speak, I want to say something." And he says, I can't tolerate fans saying bad things about you. He turns it. He's like, you're incredible. You're like my father. God took away my real father, and now you're my father. And those guys were out there calling you a criminal, describing your life accurately and so forth. And I wasn't about to have that shit. They were slandering you out there. But don't you worry. Don't worry about me. My contract is up in a week, and I'll be off. I'll be out of your hair. You won't have to worry about me getting in fights to defend your honor anymore. Castor de Andrade calls up the supervisor of Bangu and says, double Kaiser's contract and extend it for 6 months. So the gambit worked from probably about to be murdered by a revolver-wielding bichero to extended contract. That's just Kaiser magic, baby. It's very much like how Victor Lustig managed to kind of con Al Capone. It's like, whew, that could have gone real sideways. And yeah, he ends up being with Bangu for another 3 months. The story goes back to a central theme in this segment and this episode, and that is Kaiser is cool as fuck. Everybody loved him. Despite his sex addiction and constant partying, he was sober. He didn't drink, and one time he helped a guy quit drinking. He helped a guy, one of his teammates, quit drinking, and he was just charming as fuck. The Brazilian star Bebeto said his chat was so good that if you let him open his mouth, that would be it. He'd charm you. You couldn't avoid it. That would be it. Again, could be talking about Victor Lustig, too. Soccer playing Victor Lustig. That's who Carlos Kaiser is. One time around this time, Renato Gaucho goes to a club and tells the bouncer, howdy, Renato Gaucho, most famous man in Brazil. I was talking to the owner. He invited me out, so I'm here as a guest of the owner. And the guy's like, what do you think, I'm a fucking idiot? Renato Gaucho is already inside. And Renato Gaucho is like, oh, I think I know what's going on. He's like, could you just show me Renato Gaucho? And he comes in, of course it's fucking Kaiser. And Renato presumably is like, Kaiser, you know. He spent some time with Fluminense in 1988. Got in good with the team there by taking the fall for a star player after he knocked a guy unconscious in a bar fight. Exact plot of the football episode of The Simpsons, of the end when Bart takes the fall for Nelson so he can stay in the game. Star quarterback Nelson. In 1989, Kaiser signed with Vasco da Gama in Brazil, and they get sick of Kaiser's act real fast. They're desperate to find out what could possibly be wrong with this man, this inexplicably injury-prone Brazilian stud. They call in a witch doctor. They told the witch doctor, check out Kaiser, find out what's wrong with Kaiser. Kaiser meets up with him. Kaiser's like, what is all this? What's all this about anyway? And witch doctor's like, well, we're just trying to find out what's wrong with you. And the guy's like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about that. I'm going to be injured for the rest of my life. That's what he told the guy. No, this is like my thing. The injuries. Also in 1989, Kaiser spent a cup of coffee with the indoor team, the El Paso Six Shooters of the Southwest Independent Soccer League here in Texas. Again, never playing even once. It's hard to know with Kaiser what's real and what isn't. There's that El Paso Six Shooters thing. I'm guessing it was real, but then also from 88 to 92, he's signed with Botafogo. It was a long stay for him. For good reason. The president of the club was another bichero and friend of Castor de Andrade named Emil Pinheiro. Emil Pinheiro is a very horny old man who has recently gotten a penis implant. He got a penis implant that was apparently very noticeable. It was all the Brazilian soccer media could talk about for a little while. At one point, Botafogo had lost 10 games in a row, and a journalist asked Pinheiro about the Botafogo crisis, he called it. And Pinheiro is like, I looked all over the place in the cupboard and in the closet. I couldn't find this Botafogo crisis you speak of. And then he stood up and grabbed his weird bionic dick and was like, I think this is the Botafogo crisis. Which I don't know. I don't know if that's making fans feel that much better, about the team's skid, the owner. Honestly, pretty weird response. All things considered, pretty weird. response by Emil Pinheiro. He was a strange man, it seems. But so this weird, horny old man is Kaiser's boss now, and this is a great stroke of luck for Kaiser, because Kaiser always has a million women around him. Kaiser would hook this old man up with women, and so he loved him. He just kept renewing his contract over and over. Thus the long stay at Botafogo this time. Also kind of gets at the dark side of Kaiser, because he does at times seem to be acting as like an outright pimp, which, that is no good. 90 to 91, he goes back to Brazil, plays for America in Rio de Janeiro before going back home to Botafogo, where he plays 91, 92. And by plays, I mean, doesn't play. In total, Kaiser spent time with 9 different clubs over a 26-year career and never played a minute, never attempted a pass or put a shot on goal. He retires in 2003. The Brazilian Football Confederation confirmed he was a registered player, but some clubs still officially deny that he was ever with them. In 26 years, Kaiser made 30 appearances as a striker, again registering no goals. He now works as a personal trainer and only trains women. Carlos Kaiser is just Carlos Kaiser all of the time, A very strange man. Remember that Minnie Mouse quote about how he wanted to fuck Minnie Mouse? What was that about? Troubled guy. He is a very interesting man, but yeah, he seemed pretty troubled. But on to our last story of the week, the 1915 British football match-fixing scandal. Back in England, it's 1915. It's Liverpool versus Manchester United, with United on the verge of relegation. Liverpool is safe. They're in the middle of the pack, so some of the lads get together, and they're like, we don't want to get relegated. And it's not like y'all get anything for beating us. So what say you just let us win? We all go down to the bookies, bet everything we have on it, avoid relegation, and we're all rich beyond our wildest dreams. An added motivation was the grim specter of World War I. In the time between the beginning of the season and now, World War I had started, and everyone knows the league is likely to suspend operations after this season. So it's like if we get relegated, who knows when we'll be able to climb back out again. Got to pull the trigger on this match-fixing opportunity post-haste. And they do, in a stunning upset. April 2nd, 1915, Good Friday, Manchester United beats Liverpool by a final of 2-0, with George Anderson scoring both goals. But the fans at Old Trafford that day are quick to realize something doesn't smell right. Granted, it's 1915 London. Probably nothing smells right, but this smells even less right than things usually smell. As for the players, they did not seem to care much about covering up what they were doing. They all seemed to be pretty open about what was going on, which also might go back to the World War I element. I got the sense reading this story that the guys were like, who's going to notice? I mean, I think the world's ending. Have you been seeing the picture? I think the world might be over. I don't think we'll ever get in trouble for fixing one little soccer game. So Liverpool are out there being real open about not wanting to score or even move the ball. For the most part, that is. Not everyone on the team is in on the fix, of course. A forward named Fred Pagnam almost scores a goal in protest at one point. He hit the Man U crossbar, and afterward all his teammates are just openly yelling at him. They're like, Pagnam, what the fuck? We're doing a thing. Do you remember? We asked you politely to go along with our fix. Pagnam. So it's a 2-0 final. The April 3rd, 1915 Manchester Daily Dispatch said the second half was crammed with lifeless football. United were 2 up with 22 minutes to play, and they seemed so content with their lead that they apparently never tried to increase it. Liverpool scarcely ever gave the impression that they would be likely to score. Everybody was like, that shit sucked. What was happening with that? game. Also, there are soon handbills being passed around pointing out that a suspicious amount of money had been placed on that random Man U Liverpool game. Specifically, people betting that Man U would win 2-0 at 7-1 odds. Got a bunch of those apparently. Raised some red flags. So the FA launches an investigation and finds that a total of 7 players, 3 from United, Sandy Turnbull, Arthur Wally, and Enoch West, and 4 from Liverpool, Jackie Sheldon, Tom Miller, Bob Purcell, and Thomas Fairfowl, are all in on it, with Sheldon being the ringleader. They found none of the clubs were in on it. It didn't go any higher than the players. At the hearing, Man U forward Billy Meredith said he started growing suspicious during the game because no one would pass him the ball, but he said he had never heard anything about a fix. But this goes, it seems, deeper than the match fixing scandal. This seems to be more about Billy Meredith just not getting along with his teammates. He said, his quote from the hearing, he's speaking to officials from the FA. He says, nobody tells me nothing, ever in fact, not even the gaffer in training. You assholes. Let Billy Meredith in on something once in a while, guys. Come on. I mean, he's probably been dead for like 70 years, but come on. All 7 players are banned for life, but 6 of them are reinstated in 1919 in recognition of their service, including Sandy Turnbull, who had been killed in the fighting. He is reinstated posthumously. The only one not reinstated was Enoch West, who loudly proclaimed his innocence, even going so far as to sue the FA for libel. But he lost that case, and his ban stood until 1945 when he was 59 years old, making a comeback pretty improbable. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's Oddball History Podcast, episode 99, Soccer, and more soccer. Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, spay and neuter your pets.
Got digging through the past, crazy tales they uncover fast. History stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball History.